Hey there, and welcome to our channel. I'm Heidi from the Minimalist Homeschool. If you're new to our channel, we're glad to have you here. We're a family of 6. It's my husband and I and our 4 kiddos that we homeschool, work out of the home, and have been called to move into this life of ministry, which we are so excited to do. Comes with a lot of challenges, and that's part of what this channel here and everything that we do is just trying to show a transparent account of our lives and the things that God is doing within them. So again, we're happy to have you guys here. Make sure you subscribe and tap the little bell icon so that you'll see our new stuff as it comes out. Every week we have videos and podcasts. We host a Saturday live event here on YouTube every week as just a time to really share in fellowship and discuss different topics here in this life and how we look at them and deal with them from a biblical scope and a biblical perspective. So, something I wanted to share today is that of our simple Sabbath routine. Sabbath can be a very touchy subject to talk about amongst various Christian circles. And so I guess I just want to say that my point of this video is not to debate many of the things that believers seem to get tripped up over, like what day are you holding your Sabbath? What things do you do on your Sabbath? And all of these other things. Because yes, Jesus Christ is Lord over everything, even the Sabbath. And there is so much debate that goes into so many when it comes to this realm, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and all of that comes with it. And my honest opinion is that the Lord God was very clear when he said that we have 7 days in a week. 6 of them we may work, and 1 day needs to be a day of rest. I'm not going to get into the debate any further on any of the other things. Let me just share with you where our family has been convicted, what we do, and how we enjoy taking our world and our lives from being 24/7 to being 24/6. And I'm going to share with you this book. I found this book 4 years ago. It's been a little while. I found this book when, to be honest, our family, I knew Sabbath and you're supposed to have a day of rest, right? Sunday is the day that you go to church and then you just kind of hang out and don't really do anything but like watch football, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be. But I never had thought of observing the Sabbath as something I was instructed to do, I guess, would be my thought. And so I stumbled upon this book. I think it was a really good book. I think he comes at it from a very, very level perspective. And that's this book, 24/6 by Matthew Sleep. It's a great book. I do definitely recommend it. If you want this copy, message me and let me know. I'd be happy to send it your way. I think it's a great book where he really does just break down, what is Sabbath? Why does Sabbath matter? What does the Bible say? How do we apply this to our lives today? Obviously, you look at the time that the law of Sabbath was given to Moses in Deuteronomy. It was thousands of years ago. That was a very different world than the one we live in today, or is it? So kind of taking that and looking at that, this was the first book I read that really got me, I guess, thinking about the whole topic. And so for our family, we have done this in various different ways. When I had found this book, we're running a very busy, small family business. Very, very busy, though, in the way that I work in weddings and events. So for me, my busy work days would be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Those are my big part of the week. So for us, when we were doing that, obviously most people look at like Saturday or Sunday as being a Sabbath day. For us, those are our busiest days of the week. There's no way. We had business booked up for years in advance. There's no way we could not do anything on those days. And so for us, we took Monday as our day of Sabbath, our day of rest. Again, people get in a lot of debate about what day is the appropriate Sabbath and what day is not the appropriate Sabbath. And I feel just like Paul telling in Titus that stop fussing about these things of the law. You guys are getting nowhere. I'm not going to sit here and fuss and argue that point. I think God knows our hearts and he knows he will convict us accordingly. And so taking a day, whether it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever, to stop the hustle and bustle of life of this world and to have a day of just rest and fellowship with him is what he's trying to get at here. And so for us, when we were really busy and working like that, Monday was our Sabbath day. Since then, stuff has changed as we are transitioning out of business and into ministry full-time. Stuff has definitely changed. And so something we've started doing is having a Sabbath feast each week and a time of communion that my husband leads, and inviting others into our home to come and partake as well. Again, some people will stick with like the Jewish traditional time where every Friday evening their Sabbath begins and goes in through Saturday and ends at Saturday evening. When we think of things, everything with the Hebrew people, with the Israelites, the Jews, everything under God's calendar goes from sundown to sundown the next day. So if you said that Sabbath for you begins Friday evening, it would then go from Friday evening until the sun goes down on Saturday evening. Does that make sense? And I'm just going to put this part in here because I think this is such a helpful part. I know it was for me that once I understood that that's how their system works on this lunar calendar, that it made Sabbath better for me. And let me explain why I say that. So we wanted to start hosting Sabbath, and I love the idea of having a whole day of just time of rest, not worrying about the things that I'm normally worried about during the day, you know, fussing around, keeping up with all of the routine and the schedule, having a time for our family just to come together, to spend extra time in the Word, extra time in fellowship and in study, and hosting people into our home and really showing them the light of Christ and doing all of these things. But for me, I'm like, I want to bake and I want to do all these really cool things and have this big, beautiful dinner, but how do I rest all day and still get all of this stuff done? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. It's Sabbath for everyone but the mom, it doesn't make sense. And so this is the part that I think is so neat once you realize that shift in the day beginning at sundown. So for us, we start our Sabbath with Saturday. So Saturday, we host our YouTube live in the first part of the day. And then that gives me the afternoon, where I'm filming this now, to just do a nice, good kind of once over on the whole house and get all of the cleaning done that I would like to do. We homeschool all throughout the week. Fridays, we have more of like an... Hello, Miss Olivia. Fridays, we do more of like an unschool day anyway, so our day's a little more lax. It gives me a little more time to get caught up on whatever school things I need to get caught up on. And then Saturday, that gives me time to get all of my cleaning done, mop the floors, do all the stuff that I maybe don't do on the daily. I know for me, I can't sit down and truly relax if everything's a mess. It drives me crazy and I can't do it. So this gives me Saturday to get all of that stuff done. So it's all taken care of. I make a challah bread, which is like a traditional kind of eggy bread that they make and break and serve for Shabbat, for Sabbath. So I get my challah bread cooking. I get all of the meal going, and I'll show you guys what we typically do for our Sabbath. But that gives me all day to get that stuff done. By the time the sun is getting ready to set, approximately, we're not super legalistic here, when it's starting to go to that time, to evening time, I've gotten everything done. And what hasn't gotten done, oh well, it's not going to get done. So I've had all day to get stuff done. Come this time, as we're finishing up dinner, the table is set, everything is prepared. We sit down for our Sabbath meal. We break bread and drink of the cup. You are being a goose. Yeah, you're being a goose. We break bread and we have a glass of wine and we share in communion that my husband leads us through scripture. And we do all of those things. And then for us, when dinner starts Saturday night, that kicks off our Sabbath day. So starting at dinner Saturday night for our family into Sunday until we get to dinner Sunday night, that is our Sabbath day. Again, the whole point is to put away the fuss and the worry of the world and to draw close to God and have that time of fellowship, that time of rest, that time of rejuvenation, that time, extra time spent in prayer and meditation and all of that. So Saturday evening, we hold our dinner. We invite friends and family and whoever into it that we can eat and fellowship and share together and encourage one another. And then Saturday night, the house is clean. I'm not worrying about anything. It's just a very relaxed time for our family. And then Sunday morning for us, we are pretty busy throughout the whole week, right? We've got 4 kids, we've got homeschool, we've got ministry, we've got all of these things that we're doing, the podcast to be recorded, videos to be done, all of this stuff. For us Sunday morning, we don't worry about anything. Everything's just very relaxed. I wake up Sunday morning. It's a special treat for our whole family. I make a big breakfast, which most people would say, it's Sabbath. You're supposed to relax and not do all these things. Why are you putting on? Well, I enjoy it, and it's something I love, and it's a great way that I show a special love and appreciation to my family, because although I'm happy eating oatmeal every single morning, every day of the week, my family loves having a big breakfast. Everything's made from scratch and it's delicious. And I mean, the sink, it takes us a while to get through the dishes that we make between Sabbath dinner Saturday night and big breakfast morning Sunday morning, because we make a lot of stuff. But it's something that our family really, really loves and enjoys. So I make a big breakfast. We have a extended time of church fellowship and teaching that my husband leads us in on Sunday morning. We do a very much of a like Acts church, home church type thing here in our home. And so we spend a great time in scripture study and just fellowship with one another. And again, we invite many people. So whoever comes over to do that, we spend a great time with that in the morning. And then Saturday afternoon is just a wonderful time of rest and relaxation for us. We've shared with you guys before, but I do a monthly menu planning and monthly grocery shopping trip. Well, in our plan, Sunday night is pizza night. Every night. So coming out of this very restful, relaxing time, going into Sunday evening, every Sunday evening we eat pizza and we watch Pastor JD. He shares his church sermons and does prophecy updates every single week. And I'll link him down below. If you haven't checked his church out already, it's a wonderful church. He's a great man of God. And so every Sunday evening, to kind of finish up this Sabbath time for our family, we sit down, eat pizza, watch that. And then Sunday evening, that gives me time then to kind of do a little bit of work and kind of get everything prepped and ready for our upcoming week of school and work and all the things that we have to do. So that's kind of our routine and how we do it, which works well for us in this season of life. So I figured today, while I'm kind of doing these things to get ready for our Sabbath, I want to go ahead and share them with you guys. Not that this is by any means how you must do it, but just to share what we do, that maybe it might be a help and an encouragement to somebody else. So I'm going to show you guys what we do. Okie doke. I'm going to go ahead and start getting started on this, and figure I'll just kind of show you guys along the way. So my kids, we let them, if they get all of these certain things done throughout the week, we give them some video game time on Saturday. Depending on the weather, that kind of depends on how much they get and when they get it. Today, it is freezing cold, it is dark, nasty, and we're expecting like rain, sleet, snow, nasty mess. So we're letting them have video game time now because we're all getting over colds this week and it's nasty outside. So we give them something fun that they can do in the afternoon, be it being outside or getting their video game time. So that way I can kind of just have mom time to get all the things done that I want to get done. Minus the fussing baby right now. So maybe we'll do a video sometime where I do like a clean with me or something like that. But I kind of go through, start getting everything just picked up, cleaned up. There is stuff everywhere. I have been tearing the house apart as we are going through and getting rid of all of our stuff except for bare necessities. And so right now things are a little chaotic. But I go through, pick up, do a couple loads of laundry, get all of that stuff done so I don't have to fuss and worry about it. But I'm going to show you guys the things that we use and look forward to kind of pulling out and using for our Sabbath dinners. Also, a couple notes. Another reason why I enjoy doing Sabbath Saturday night going into Sunday is it just makes me think about Jesus' resurrection. He died on Passover, was then buried, and 3 days later rose from the dead. And we know that he rose because he appeared to Mary before sunrise, so in those real early morning hours of Sunday. So it was that Saturday night into Sunday that all of that happened, right? And the fact that he did that shows that he is God, and he has conquered the grave. He has power over death, right? That's such a huge thing in our belief as disciples of Christ. And so having our Sabbath in this Saturday evening and going into Sunday, for me, I feel a very special connection in that there. Not that, of course, it's what you have to do or anything by those means, but it's just something for me that really stood out and was just something really special. And when we started doing this, when I went to go and was like, hey guys, we're going to start, doing the Sabbath, my husband and I talked to him. I said, what do you guys want to eat for dinner Saturday night? Sorry, I just threw my hair up and I see it sticking out everywhere. They all wanted, we call it our Abraham meal. So when Abraham is in the tent and he sees the angels and the Lord, Jesus, standing up on the hill, and he invites them to come down, and he has them go and essentially get them steak, and his wife makes bread, and they eat milk and everything. That meal that they have there, our family calls that the Abraham meal. And so our kids all voted that they wanted to have steak, mashed potatoes. I'd make the challah bread. That was what they wanted. Another thing for Sabbath, I didn't want to make a bunch of stuff that maybe I would enjoy, but would just be something the kids were really picky about and didn't want to eat, and we had a bunch of like leftover wasted food. I didn't want to do that. That was definitely a no-go in my book. And so that's what they wanted. And so our next Sabbath, I asked them what they wanted me to make, and Lily, our oldest daughter, second child, was like, aren't we having our Abraham meal? I want steak and bread. And like, they were very specific about what they wanted. So it could just be us, but we have a Sabbath meal. We have the same thing every single Sabbath. So sorry for the people that come over all the time if you wanted to eat something else, but this is what we do every single time. So I'm going to show you guys just kind of a little bit about that. I can put our recipes down in the thing if it's something that anybody is interested in. Are you getting fussy, baby? We have her blocked off over in the living room so she can't get into stuff, and she's not liking it. So anyways, let me show you guys what all we do. What's the matter, baby? You want to come over here with the mom? Oh, you want to come over here with the mom? Our kitchen bench, turned on its side, makes a fantastic baby gate when placed in between the couch and the chair. It's a great blockade. You don't think so, though? Is it a horrible blockade? Yeah. Come here, Mama. Alright, let me go ahead and share with you guys a few things that we use every week for our Sabbath celebration. You helping by pulling out my earrings? So, we have this menorah that I actually got at a thrift store that we thought was pretty cool. This is something that stays out in our home. Normally throughout the week it stays here on our little side table, but it's something that we always bring out and set as a centerpiece to our table as we're setting the table for Sabbath. Really just as something as a reminder not only to things that have been, but thinking forward to the new temple to come, the time for Christ after he returns here at the second coming that we are looking forward to, when we will be literally here reigning and living with him. So that's something, would you please? That's something that's just a fun thing that we definitely enjoy having, and it's always a special thing to pull out and put on the table each week for Sabbath. Then we have simple little candlestick holders. Honestly, they're just from Dollar Tree. And we set them out each week here next to our menorah and put in these. Any candle will do. I'm not saying you have to use these ones specifically. Our local grocery store, Ingles, they have a great selection now of kosher items, and they hold these Minimalist Shabbat candles. And so I buy a box of these from time to time. Honestly, I just think it's kind of fun and cozy, and so we enjoy doing it. We don't do it for any legalistic reason or anything, but we buy these Shabbat candles that we use for our Sabbath meal every week. I know some people definitely, a big thing is to make sure you set a nice tablecloth out to set everything up. I would love to have some like beautiful lace tablecloth that we set out every night. I just don't, and quite honestly, my kids would probably destroy it. So we don't, but maybe one day. Another thing I really wanted was a tray to hold our challah bread. And so I had gotten on Amazon forever ago to find one. I ordered this one, which I do love it, but it is really too small. I will show you how we cut down our challah bread recipe to be something just for our family instead of having a ton of leftover. So I do really cut it down and make smaller loaves, but I wish I had a larger one. But we do have this beautiful silver, give us this day our daily bread tray that we got from Amazon. I love it. It's beautiful. It's heavy duty. I really do like it. I'll link it down below in the description, but we really do need a larger challah bread tray. But we set that out every time for our challah. I also have my record player here. When I am cooking dinner, like once I get done with all of the cleaning and we're moving into preparation for our Shabbat meal, our Sabbath meal, I like to put on, I love listening to older music, 1930s, 1940s. That's very much something I enjoy. So I love putting on some music on the record player and cooking. For me, it's just a very relaxing, enjoyable thing to do, and a special thing that I just take the time to do for Sabbath. You're so cute. So that's something that I like to do on Sabbath, most definitely. All right, part of our Sabbath every week is I pull everything out to get the table all set up. I'm getting everything ready. So every night, instead of just doing the same old, we like to make everything just a little bit, not that we're trying to be fancy by any means, but just doing something maybe a little different than we normally do it. Just makes it feel a little set apart and different than the norm. So I usually will pull out all of the dishes. Not that we have anything fancy, to be honest. I like these gold rim set. I get them from Dollar Tree. They're always there. It's part of their like seasonal Christmas stuff. And so every year I just go and stock up on a few more to replace whatever got broken or destroyed over the past year. And we just keep it pretty simple, to be honest with you. So we do that. Daddy and I, we have these wine glasses here. And then for the kids, we just buy the small mason jars, and that's what we use for our drinking glasses. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like every time I buy nice glasses from the store, they end up breaking just so easily. So we just buy mason jars, and then they last much better. Kat, what are you doing? I stock up on our monthly grocery shopping trip, and I get some kosher grape juice, sparkling grape juice for the kids to drink during communion. Oops, sorry. And then the husband and I and whatever other adults that we have, we usually have a little bit of wine to go in our glasses for communion. And then I always try to make sure that I leave a little extra space down here by my husband's spot at the table, so that way we have room for him to set his Bible that he reads out of for communion. Right, so like I said, we get everything cleaned up so that way everything can be just nice and relaxing. Once we get everything done, my husband will grill the steak. Or before he starts that really, I go ahead and I use this recipe that I found. If you look up challah bread, there are like a million different recipes. Most people swear by doing it the night before. There's all this other stuff to go with it. I, out of necessity, found this one recipe called challah in a hurry, and I made it. Our family loves it. We don't want to use a different one. So I will link that down below in the description if you want to make some challah bread with your family. It's super simple, even if you don't make bread all the time. I have a KitchenAid mixer that I just throw all the ingredients into, let it knead it up. It takes no time at all, and it's delicious. You cannot go wrong with homemade bread. Everybody will be impressed if there is homemade bread, because there's nothing better than homemade bread. So I make that every single time. The recipe that I will link down below, we actually cut that in half. When I was making, as they have it on there, we had so much left over. Our chickens loved it because it meant they got a ton of leftovers, but it was just wasting food. There was too much of it. So we actually cut that in half, and then I take the dough once I'm done with it and still split it in half and make like 2 mini braids, which I'll show you guys kind of like a time lapse of me making all of that. But I go ahead and make that bread, and then I use my KitchenAid mixer again and just make a batch of mashed potatoes. I use a Pioneer Woman recipe that I love. They're like the most complimented mashed potatoes I think I've ever made. So I make those. I will usually steam some vegetables as well to have with it. And then, like I said, my husband will go ahead and throw the steaks on the grill. We get, when I say we eat steak, we're very budget friendly when it comes to that. I usually will pop into the store like every other week and go ahead and get enough steak to last a couple weeks worth. When I go and do my monthly grocery shopping, I usually get a couple weeks worth of steak, and then usually for our steak, I'll pop into the store mid-month and go ahead and get the ones I need for the remainder of the month. And we just get like top round or more like sirloin, something that's much more budget conscious. So we have a steak dinner, yes, every Saturday, but it's not very costly, to be honest. It really isn't. So we do that, and then we always have some kind of dessert. I share different baking recipes on minimalisthomeschool.com with each of our week's school plans. So sometimes we will make a recipe that we've made off there before, or if the kids have something they're really excited to make, I'll let them do that. A lot of the times it's just something like a bundt cake or something that is, again, super easy. Throw all the ingredients in the mixer, drop it in the bundt pan, let it cook. Just something that's special. We make pumpkin pie a lot, cheesecake a lot. It's kind of fun to just have that one night a week where you kind of go all out and you have a lot of the things that you most normally every other night of the week wouldn't make a big fuss over, working on or getting into. But this night we do, and it's something special. And there's always leftovers because we're always stuffed by the time we get to it because we don't normally eat this much food and we have leftovers. But or if you just want to buy something from a local bakery or whatever. I mean, whatever works best for your family. The whole idea of holding Sabbath isn't to create all this extra stuff you have to do and have to check off. That's not the point of it. So there's certain things. I love baking. I love cooking. I love doing all of this stuff. But in a normal busy week, I can't do this whole spread every single night. That would just be crazy. But I truly enjoy doing it. So for me, Sabbath is usually... we're not doing it today again just because of the bad weather. We didn't want to be out on the roads, but I go and I pick up my mother-in-law and bring her here, and we have other people over, and it's just a time that we can really cook and do all of these things, kind of go all out. It's like a little, you think of like the nostalgia people have when they talk about like Christmas dinner with the family or something like that. That's kind of every Sabbath to us, and we really cherish it and enjoy it. Sometimes it's just our family. Sometimes it's just our family with maybe my brothers. Sometimes we have a packed table with friends and family and all kinds of people over. So it really is just a great time, for that. And then for us, I know I keep mentioning it, but my husband reads from scripture and we partake in communion every single time. And we've taught our kids how serious it is when you partake in communion and what does it mean to partake in communion. And the same thing when we have other people over. I mean, we had friends over a while back that they're really having a lot going on in their lives and really realizing that they are not living in the way that they should be, and coming over to our home and us talking with them about communion and everybody partaking together really was such a pivotal point, for them to go, we've just seen the switch, you know, in their lives and seeing God moving and working in them. And that's just such a cool thing to see and to kind of be along the ride with them and get to see it. So we very much enjoyed doing that. So I will show you guys how we set up the table. I do my cleaning, and then I'll give you guys a little kind of cool time lapse here and let you see how we make the bread. I let it rise for a while I'm working on the other stuff, and then get the dessert going. It's actually getting really dark as the storm is moving in, so I don't know how well it's going to work out trying to record this stuff. My lighting I'm very dependent upon the sun to help me with the lighting here, and I'm not having that on my side this week. So I might not get to show very much as far as the whole baking and like the actual dinner tonight. So if you have any questions about any of that specifically, please message me and let me know, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions. Maybe we can even do a follow-up video down the road when we actually have sunlight and can share some of these things, but I will try my best. I'm going to try to attempt to show you how I whip up this challah bread. I go ahead and use my KitchenAid mixer just because it's super easy, to be honest, but you could do this in a regular mixing bowl and then just knead it by hand. This isn't a very like knead intensive bread, but throwing it all in the KitchenAid, if you have one of these, just makes it super duper quick and easy. So whenever I'm making bread, especially dealing with this metal bowl, even if you have glass, it's really cold to the touch. And obviously this is just a quick rise recipe since it's ready to go. It really only rises for maybe an hour or so until it doubles in size. So I go ahead and run some hot water here in this bowl for a minute just to kind of warm it up so it's not quite so cold to the touch. So I'm going to do that real quick. Well, maybe if I get hot water. So I just kind of warm up the bowl a little bit. No, not really, Lil. All right, so I go ahead and just kind of warm that bowl up so it's not quite so cold. And let me grab all right, so you go ahead and start off, and again, the recipe for this one is down below, but I start off by putting the warm water, and again, I am halving that recipe. So I start off by putting the warm water here, and then melted butter. So I just took the butter, put it in a bowl, put it in the oven on a low temperature to go ahead and melt that down. Butter and the sugar and eggs. So let me put in the sugar. And again, whenever I cook anything, I try to be using ingredients that would be as close to the way that God created them to be. So as much as I can do organic, raw, GMO-free, that's what we go for. 4, 5, 6. Put that in there, and then our chickens are not laying eggs for us quite yet, so we are still purchasing some eggs. Go ahead and get a couple eggs in here. All right, a couple eggs in there, and then we go ahead and just kind of blend this up. I could put a mixer paddle in and do it. Honestly, I just grab a whisk and do it real quick because it's not very much at all, but just kind of give that a mix so that way everything is together. And then once we've done that, we add in the yeast and salt. So I'm going to put in some yeast. And I just get this, oops, I don't know if you can see, it's really dark, but I just get this rapid rise or bread machine yeast at the store. I find it's way more cost effective to just get these big containers instead of the little tiny packets. So get this yeast in there. This stuff was a little wet, so it's all sticking to it. 2 1/4 is what mine is calling for, since I have halved it down. So put a little extra in here. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of salt. Not that I have kosher products because I feel that it's a must that we use them, but I honestly will buy kosher if it's available. I just feel like for the most part, you're getting something that hasn't gone through quite as much processing and potential nastiness in our food system. So I do even have kosher salt, maybe. I have some left here, so I put in a little bit of salt. Once all of that is in, I go ahead and give it just another mix to make sure that yeast is good and combined. I made sure that my water was good and warm to get that yeast up and awake, but not scalding hot to the fact that it kills the yeast. That's where you have problems with bread, is if you end up killing the yeast. Once you have everything combined, you should start to see the yeast come alive, see bubbles moving and stuff kind of foaming up to the top. And that's how you know that you have woken up your yeast successfully. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in some flour. I just have some basic all-purpose, sorry, it's really dark, some basic all-purpose flour here. Sometimes I will cut it and do half all-purpose, half whole wheat flour. It kind of just depends on what we're feeling for the moment. This bread is kind of like a lighter, sweeter bread. It's not super sweet, but a little bit lighter, a little bit sweeter. Our family really enjoys it. So we'll go ahead, whenever you're measuring flour, in case you maybe don't work with bread very often, you always want to take a smaller measuring cup and then the bigger one that you're trying to go for. You don't want to pack flour, so you take the smaller measuring cup to scoop the flour in, and then dump that into the bigger one. So you'll go ahead and dump the smaller one into the bigger one, and then take the flat side of a butter knife and just run it along the top to level it out. And then you slide it across the top. Sorry if you can't see anything I'm doing. To get a nice level, even cup. See how I just slid it across the top there? So I'll go ahead and literally in the mixer just dump this straight in to the bowl. I might have to go to my second bag of flour here in a second. 1, 2. A lot of times I end up with helping hands when it comes to this part, but they are being very good for me right now, so I can record this as well. 2. I think I'm going to have to switch to my second bag of flour real quick. Grab that. So again, I'm scooping the little cup and then pouring it into the big one, so that way I'm not packing it down. And then just take the knife and slide it across the top to get a nice level cup. 3, maybe 2, 1 more. You can't even use a bread flour. You just want to watch your recipe if you are using a bread flour, because it will require more liquid. All right, so I have put in all my ingredients. Now the cool trick about having this awesome little mixer is all my ingredients are in there. I just attach this dough hook, which if you like to have fresh bread, this makes it so easy. And then I'm just going to go ahead and turn this on the lowest setting and let it go for a little while. I'll let it go and I just kind of peek on it from time to time. I will pause it usually partway through and take my silicone spatula and just push down the sides to make sure everything's incorporated. And then once all of it has combined, and you want to let it knead until as the hook's going around, everything is staying together in one smooth formed ball of dough, and there isn't anything left sticking to the sides. If you let this go for 5 minutes and there is still a lot sticking to the sides, you probably are going to need to add a little more flour just to get the consistency of a smooth dough. So I'm going to go ahead and let this go for a little while. All right, I've gone ahead now, as you can see, as the mixture is going, the bread is staying formed into a nice ball. It's no longer sticking all to the sides. When I pull on it, I can see how it's stretching. It's not just coming apart. It's not even sticking to my fingers, really. It's just coming right off. So I know that that dough is good to go. I've cleared a little spot over here on the counter. I'm going to sprinkle a little flour down onto the surface and then put the dough on it and show you guys how to split it up and give it a simple challah braid. That's all needed. Like I said, just sprinkle a little bit of flour onto your surface just to keep it from sticking. Spread a little out. You don't need very much at all, just enough to keep it. It should be very well put together. Put a little on your hands, and then the dough should be in this nice, see, smooth, clean pan. Easy peasy. I just kind of roll it over real quick. Just make sure you can see this, I guess. Just roll it over, make sure it's got a little bit of flour on it to keep it. It should not be sticking to everything. It should be super, super easy to work with. Feel nice and smooth. You can roll it around like this and it just molds. Hold on one second, let me just make this real quick. Molds into a nice, neat thing. That's how you've got a good ready dough. I take it once it is like this and go ahead and cut it in half. I do not measure it out and get super technical with it, but cut it in half, and then that will give me 2 loaves there. And then once I've got my 2 separate balls of dough here, I will cut these into, I just do a simple 3 braid. You can look up on YouTube even and find a million different ways to braid challah, and there's some really, really cool ones, but honestly, I just stay simple. Roll out 3 strands of dough, just like you're getting ready to braid hair. They don't have to be exact, just close enough. Roll out 3, and then I just braid like I would hair. If you kind of start in the middle, braid down, and then I kind of go back to the top and work my way down, and then just tuck the ends, and you have a braided loaf of bread. So there's one. Super, super simple. Takes maybe 3 minutes to do all of it. Maybe, I don't even think it takes that long. Roll it down. Like I said, we have that tiny little bread tray, so it's just easier, and especially passing, when my husband does communion, he starts with the tray with the braid of bread on it, and he breaks the bread and grabs some for himself, and then we pass the tray around the table to everyone, including the kids. Yep, like a chain, including the kids, so that way everybody can grab the tray and break off a piece of bread for themselves. So here's another challah braid. And then I use this stoneware pan that I have. I'm pretty sure it's by Pampered Chef. I just take a stick of butter, coat the pan with some butter. Coat the pan with some butter. Make sure to get the sides because this bread is going to rise.
sure it's all nice on there. I like the buttery flavor, and then that way it's not sticking. When you're baking bread, if you bake with stoneware, it definitely does help the bread to cook evenly without getting bottoms and edges that are burning. So if you have stoneware or can get some kind of stoneware, it's definitely worth it. And then you just take your loaves, set them in your pan. At this point, you can do like a butter wash on it if you want. Lucy ate your dough. Sorry. You can go ahead and add a wash to it, but I just go ahead and cover it with a tea towel. Right now it's really cold because it's wintertime, so I will set it on the oven where it's just warmer from the other stuff that's cooking and let the dough rise. It will about double in size, and at that point you're ready to go ahead and put it in the oven. After it is almost nearly done baking, that's when you can go ahead and pull it out and do an egg wash on the top, or even add some more butter, sprinkle some herbs, whatever you might possibly want to do, but then it will be ready to go for Sabbath. Alrighty, so the bread is in the oven rising. It smells delicious. My husband's getting ready to go grill the steaks. I will get the vegetables made up and then cook the bread. The bread does not take very long to actually bake. I think usually I give it about 20 minutes or so, and everything's all cooked and ready to go. So that's how we enjoy our Sabbath. Tomorrow morning, like I said, we will have the big family breakfast and then just kind of enjoy a nice day at home, kind of slow and just relaxing. Sorry if this is so dark. It's getting definitely starting to snow outside, so it's kind of a mess. But we will sit down, have dinner together, partake in communion as a family, and really just enjoy some time of just fellowship and just soak up this day that will let be slow and relaxing, and just a very thankful time when we live in such a busy world to have a day that God tells us, hey, set it aside, hang out with me, relax, enjoy. So hopefully something here maybe possibly helped. If there's any questions that I can answer, please reach out and let us know. If there's anything we can lift up in prayer for you and your family, please let us know. We would love to pray for you. Like I said, hope something helped. If there's anything we can show further that will be helpful, we will be happy to do so. But I'm going to get in there and enjoy Sabbath with my family. So Shabbat Shalom, guys. Have a great one.